Hello everyone, this is Mr. McChesney, and I'm going to instruct you about what you're going to see in SBGBook when looking at your grades. This should be the screen you see when you log into SBGBook. On the left-hand side, you see current scores for the different standards. Each line is a different standard, and if you hover or click on the question mark, it should tell you what that standard is, and it has an abbreviation for the standard. You can also find the standards in Google Classroom. So you can see what each of these standards are. When you look at the bars, green bars mean you're doing good. Red bars mean you need to pick up the pace and improve your scores and improve what you're doing. And yellow bars mean you're kind of somewhat in the middle. When you look at this for Habits of Mind 1 in Semester 1, you can see all these bars over here to the right. Each one of those is showing you a different time this standard was checked. So we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times this standard was checked, and they averaged a 7.1. If I click on that number, it says the average is a 7.1. The method for calculating that number is on a decaying average, which means these more recent scores, the ones at the top, have more value than the ones at the bottom of the screen there. And so eventually these values in the bottom will eventually not be part of this average, or a very little part. And so you see all these different numbers on the right. Those are all your scores for each standard. Each time you see a bar in there that's telling you how many times that standard's been checked. So for Lab Skill 6, Semester 1, there's only been one check on it. TigerPhysics scored 10 out of 10, so their average is a 10 out of 10. If we look at some of the content standards, we can see in one-dimensional motion 3, which is about diagrams and things like that, there's 2 scores, and they are for a 5, and the way it's calculated is your average of your highest and latest score. Since both of them are 5s, that's a 5. If on the other hand, we look at one-dimensional motion number 2 standard, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 different checks on this, and we can see they range from a red to a green to a yellow. If I click on this, I can see its average of highest and latest unique scores. So if I look at the scores I've got here, I've got a 5, a 10, an 8, and a 9. My most recent score is at top, a 9. So one of the 2 numbers that goes into your grade is a 9. The highest one ever is a 10. So it's 9 and 10 averages together to make a 9.5 or 95% on this standard. The 8 and the 5 have gone away because they are neither the highest or the latest, most unique scores. So that's what the left-hand side of the screen is, all the different standard scores. In some cases, there's been no checks on those standards, and they don't go into calculating anything. On the right-hand side of the screen, it says recent scores, missing assignments. You can click on and see, are there any missing assignments? In this case, Tiger has no missing assignments. Things at the top, so every time you see a gray bar on the right-hand side, that's a new assignment. So Lab 3 angle measurement has 3 standards in it: one-dimensional motion 1, Habits of Mind 2, and Lab Skills Science Reasoning 7. There were scores of 5 on each one of them. If we go down to this test on motion, we can see it had a bunch of Habit of Mind scores. It had a bunch of one-dimensional motion scores, and we ranges from 10s to 5s to 8s and so on. And so all those are different standards that go into the columns on the left. And so if you scroll down on the right, you can see each individual assignment, when it was due: Monday, August 28th, Monday, August 28th, Thursday, August 24th, and so on. And you can see what those different assignments are. If we scroll all the way back up to the top, we've got over in the center here, overall grade. If you click that, what it says here is what's going to show up in Infinite Campus out of 100 points. So in Infinite Campus, it would say 75 out of 100 points, which would translate to a C. If the student TigerPhysics does some of the missing work, or some of the work where they didn't get a great grade on it, then they can have a reassessment, and it will modify their overall score in the course. Hopefully that helps you, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask Mrs. Wright or myself, Mr. McChesney, also known as TigerPhysics, and it looks like based on TigerPhysics' overall grade, I need to get studying. I will see you later, folks.